What's good, y'all? It's your boy D-Lou, back at it again with another banger video. Happy Monday to you guys, and happy wherever to you guys. It may be Monday, it may be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yada, 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 etc. You know the gist, you know the vibes. But I hope you guys are doing well. I was thinking about just the whole thing about adulting and friendships, and just seeing that like navigating friendships and stuff can be a little bit is tricky when you get older because people move away, people grow out of each other, they evolve, they develop, and different dynamics may look different based on who your friends are now, and then based on life circumstances it may redefine, and your friendship circle may look different. It may be smaller, it may be bigger. It's different for different times, but it's different for different adults, but also it's a product of our times and our environments because COVID has definitely impacted the way that we navigate friendships and we navigate community and just how we interact with human beings as a whole. So I stumbled upon this video and I wanted to give my honest thoughts and reviews. It's this therapist and she's just talking about finding genuine people in your life and just navigating friendships in your older years. So let's get into it. I'm very hyped and excited about this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to share this video with a friend so that we may continue to grow into the people that God wants us to be each and every day. As always, it's your boy D-Lou. Let's get it started. Let's get it, gang. All right. Let's do it.
What I'm hearing from a lot of people right now is that even if they have a very active social life, they are still experiencing chronic feelings of loneliness. We have to remember that it's not a personal failure. This happens to be, unfortunately, a result of the relational moment in time that we're living in. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Yates Anyabwile, Stephanie for short. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why it feels so hard to find your people right now and what actually builds belonging. I truly believe, based off what I'm hearing from clients across various generations, is that it is a lot harder right now to develop friendships. And I have some theories as to why that is the case. The number one thing is that in today's society, we don't have as many repetition-based relationships. So there are fewer spaces where you can have relationships develop gradually and organically. I always bring up the example of previous generations being more active in the church. We are starting to see a bit more of a return to the church, but for the last couple of decades, church life has become a lot less prevalent. And in some communities, it is still big, but it's something that we don't see a lot. I'm not saying that you need to go to church to find friends. What I'm saying is that there used to be more spaces where you were going to the same place all the time. Let's say if you go to the same supermarket every Sunday, if we're in the same community. Now with social media and the internet, we have access to so many more people that, just as we do with dating, we talked about it in the dating video, we are constantly looking for the next thing. And it makes it difficult sometimes to stick with the friendships that we're developing now because we're always wondering if there are better friends out there for us. Adult relationships now require a lot more initiative, but vulnerability at the same time. So
all right, so I want to touch up and everything that she's saying. It is true as far as like um, having like this spaces where we often can have community. Like for the church example, most of the time, like you have people in the neighboring community who congregate at one place, and often you form like familial bonds because you see these people, you go here often, and these are people that you have immediate access to. But when you like the age of social media was introduced, you're introduced to people from different communities, but that also has bright aspects in it too because you can talk to people who you may have never have interacted with. But I agree with what she's saying, so let's continue.
it's a big risk. And I do believe that fear about being exposed or being betrayed is a lot more heightened now with social media because a lot of people truly will do anything for views. And you'll see people who go on dates or who share messages with friends or even film strangers in public. It's part of what is considered normal now to share what we're experiencing on the internet with strangers. However, on the other side of that, it can be challenging for people to feel that they can be vulnerable and open when there is the possibility of their secrets being exposed. And that is what's required to really develop connection, is that risk of being open and sharing about your life, but having that worry in the back of your mind that your story might become someone else's clout. This is something that I have heard from my.
Yeah, that is a fair thing where it's just like, okay, can I trust someone to with like the stuff that I'm confiding with them with and that they won't use it against me? But I think it is like the certain risk factor where it's just like, okay, you have to take risk in order to like gain our profit, you know, kind of like a business or just any investment. No investment is going to be like, okay, like it's 100% secure. Like there is going to be a risk of like it possibly failing and it flopping and just having to start over again. But I do understand the risk as far as like, okay, I don't want to be exposed or like end up on someone's story time or end up on someone's TikTok. And it's just like, I didn't sign up for all this. So people are taking like the precautionary measures to protect like, you know, their valuables, to protect themselves ultimately. But I do think that certain amount of risk it has to be involved because that's how trust is forged, where it's just like, hey, based on the people that I want to connect with, I'm going to have to like do things in fault and do things to where like it can foster trust and build camaraderie with people so that trust can be built and friendship can be built, you know? But let's continue.
Clients. The other thing I'm noticing is that we feel prolonged nervous system fatigue, or a lot of people call this burnout culture, for a lot of reasons. I think this is the most important part of the video because I'm talking about why it's a lot harder right now to make friends. And let's just talk about what's going on right now. We had the pandemic. We had years of cumulative stress without resolution. We just eventually went back into living our regular lives. However, there were traumas experienced. There was serious loneliness experienced. A lot of relationships shifted or disconnected as a result of social distancing or quarantining. I'm not saying that those measures weren't necessary. I'm just saying that they have impacted the way that we're able to connect. And for a lot of people, especially of a certain age, a lot of social skill building opportunities were missed because school was out for 2 years. We experienced a collective trauma with no closure. We just moved back on into real life. The economy, we have ongoing survival stress. We are
The
at a point
economy.
where a lot of people are questioning if they'll be able to keep their jobs. Things feel a lot less certain right now, and that causes a lot of overwhelm and less energy to put towards developing relationships. We've got the digital saturation aspect, so constant social comparison and low quality connection. So talking a lot to people, but not necessarily having quality conversations. And this is a really important one, especially as a lot of us have moved more into the digital working spaces, that there's very blurred boundaries. You got work, relationships, and the rest all happening in the same spaces. You work from home, it's hard to turn off and say, okay, I'm leaving work at home. It's really hard because everything is happening in the same space.
Preach.
So it's very hard sometimes to really have those segmented compartments of our lives. And we have lost a lot of those communal rituals where we would reset together. So overall, we're talking about chronic nervous system load without sufficient repair. So it turns into both a prolonged state of relational and nervous system fatigue. What I'm seeing is that people seem to have less capacity for emotional attunement, the relational risk of being in new relationships, and then repair after missed steps. So these are some of the things that I think were missed out on during the time where we didn't have full access to people as we had in the past.
All right, wait. I want to go back to what that list says. It says people have less capacity for emotional attunement, new relational risk, and repair after missteps. So, emotional attunement, like being emotionally invested, it is a big investment. So, I do get that. New relational risk. And I do think, like I said, with the whole risk factor, you're going to have to take risk. And sometimes it involves like, you know, being hurt or like, you know, being betrayed. But you can't live your life in fear of like, you know, just what if this person does this or what if they don't do that. You never know unless you try. And it comes with the whole risk factor and repair after missteps. And she said the COVID example, we literally just jumped back into everyday life without processing or acknowledging a whole pandemic that lasted from 2020 up to 2023 pretty much, to up to 2022, 2023. And we went back like everything was okay. Like we didn't address or have time to process the years missed, or like, you know, how the class of 2020, 2021, and even like the classes below them, how they were impacted, how they were impacted and like how they lost out on integral years. Some missed out on proms, some missed out on graduation, like the traditional graduation experience. For our college freshmen, some missed out on the college freshman experience and experiencing what life was like as a freshman on campus, and just adapting to the new norms and like navigating relationships, navigating the economy, some people losing their jobs and just going on unemployment, and then just figuring out the new norm. So I think people do have less capacity. And let's be real, life is busy. Like, let me tell you, life is busy being an adult and managing a job, doing other things. Because I was literally talking about my partner about this, where, how our 9 to 5s, we do that Monday through Friday. And afterwards, like, it's barely a little time to do what we need to do, how like we go home and then we still have responsibilities at home, but like it's no little time to like pour or invest into ourselves. Or if you do, it's only like maybe an hour at best. And then next thing, dinner, then you got to do your responsibilities. And then next thing, all right, go to sleep so you can repeat 9 to 5 again until you reach Friday. And then for Friday, it's just like after work, you have a little bit of Friday night that you can get back. And then you have pretty much Saturday if you're not booked, and you have all day Saturday, but then you have Sunday. And for some people who go to church, some people, they may like have that. And then the rest of the afternoon is kind of just prep for the week. You may meal prep, you may do other things, but realistically, your weekend is only maybe like a week, like a day and a half, or a day and 3/4, pretty much. Like, it's not really like a 2-day weekend, but it is a lot where like in our personal lives, you may not know what other people are going through, but it's a lot to take into consideration.
Were missed out on during the time where we didn't have full access to people as we had in the past. So I find that people aren't necessarily cold. I think a lot of people are conserving energy. I'm also seeing a lot of high exposure but low safety. So you can respond to someone on social media when they're posting their stories, text people without really ever getting together or really opening up and investing emotionally in the relationship. It's possible to literally talk to someone every day and have no clue about what's happening in your life. You can have a relationship where you talk to someone daily and they don't know that you're pregnant, because you can be so engaged but not invested. So we're seen by more people in comparison to other generations. We're known by fewer. And so what we're seeing is that when we're using social media, for example, to meet people, it can be a wonderful tool. What we do see, as I talked about in the dating video, is that the algorithms are promoting similarities, but that is not necessarily compatibility. You might meet someone where you guys like the same shows, the same music, but if you don't really have similar values, or if you don't value the relationship or are not at similar stages within your life to let in a new friendship or relationship, the relationship is probably not going to thrive, because those are surface level commonalities, but they're not really enough to keep a relationship strong. I also see people relying too heavily on the concept of clicking with someone. This is kind of similar to that idea of an accelerated instant connection with dating as well. I see this when people are trying to develop friendships, and it's usually one of two things. You have a crisis-based connection, which a lot of people call this trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is about a relationship between an abuser and a victim. So most of the time we are using that incorrectly in pop culture, but what we're usually trying to describe is one of these two things. So a crisis-based connection is where you are bonding through venting, stress, or maybe a shared hardship. I see this a lot with relationships where you have a couple of people who may not like someone and they're bonding over not liking that person. Even though it feels like you and this person have this great relationship going, in the back of your mind, I often see that people are kind of questioning, well, if this person is saying these things about this person, what are they saying about me? So that in and of itself can create some distance in the relationship, because you don't fully trust this person because of the way the relationship was founded. It can feel very intimate very quickly because you're not relying on your own vulnerability. You all are able to focus all of your attention on this shared crisis, but there's no infrastructure to the relationship. So there's likely no longevity to that relationship. Let's say you you are bonding with a coworker, for example, over frustrations with a manager or a fellow coworker. What happens if that manager leaves, or one of you leaves the job, or that coworker leaves? The relationship really doesn't have strong legs to stand on because it wasn't really based off of who you are as individuals and having a connection beyond the shared frustrations. We also, again, have that accelerated intimacy. And this is really where people overshare before trust is established. I've had so many people share with me in therapy that one of the reasons therapy works well for them is because they don't know the therapist and they find themselves in general just being able to open up a lot more to strangers. This is a very common phenomenon because the stakes feel lower when we're opening up to people that don't really know us or the other people in our lives. However, if we use this as the foundation for our relationships, we end up putting ourselves in a very compromising position because after a certain point, that person is no longer a stranger. This person is becoming more invested in your life and they do know you. So because the thing that made you feel comfortable opening up with them is that perceived emotional distance, as you guys become closer, there's a desire to kind of pull away because this is not what you were looking for. This is not what attracted you to opening up to them. So that oversharing in the beginning can seem great at first, but then we end up feeling guilty for oversharing or uncomfortable with some of the things that we've shared. We may not want to introduce this person to other people in our life, which is required if we're looking to build a solid friendship, because they might know too much. At the time we were sharing, we weren't ever expecting them to meet these people, but as a relationship develops, we're still afraid. We also can
I always thought that it was interesting where, like, you know, people who, like, I guess overshare with strangers, it's just like, okay, well, why are you sharing with like a stranger? Because one, this person doesn't know you. And I guess it may be like that because it's just like, okay, well, they don't know me, so they could be completely unattached to the situation and involved in it, so they can give like an unbiased opinion, or just give, like, you know, like a, like I said, it's a neutral party. But it's just like, okay, well, why are you telling someone who, I guess, doesn't know you and doesn't know the situation, and it's a neutral party? I get it, but you're still telling a complete stranger. Like, isn't it just like, okay, I don't want no one, I don't want like people knowing my business, you know? Stranger, or like even if it's someone that I know.
confuse emotional intensity with safety. And so just because a person is very intense, maybe they cry with you, or maybe you see them yell, or whatever the case may be, we feel like that means they're secure and we're safe. But what I often see is that a lot of times that's just showing us that a person has, unfortunately, relatively low emotional regulation skills. And what ends up happening is that that lack of regulation can impact you. If they get frustrated with you, disappointed with you, if they feel like you're pulling back, if they feel like you're rejecting them, then you can't be on the receiving end of that lack of emotional regulation. So just because a person is willing to show you intense emotion doesn't necessarily mean the relationship itself is safe. This might just be their pattern. Fast closeness is not the same as genuine connection. So now let's talk about what real belonging typically feels like at first, because a lot of the questions I get from clients are, okay, well, how do I know if I actually am creating a solid and healthy bond with someone? A lot of the time it's neutral before it's warm. And that's because there's no performance required. Your nervous system is at rest. You're not feeling like you need to laugh at this person's jokes when you don't find them funny. You don't feel like you need to pretend that you agree with them about everything. Things just feel neutral. The stakes feel kind of low in that relationship. That can be a good opener for what ends up being a long-standing relationship. There's no urgency, no emotional roller coaster. These things are signs that the relationship might be moving a bit too quickly. We also want to look for consistency over chemistry. A lot of time we are relying on that clicking, that amazing feeling we have when we met someone new and we want to talk to them about everything, and we start really almost obsessing over the relationship or them, and it's a really good feeling in the beginning. But what we want to look for instead is more so predictability. You want to make sure that they're comfortable having important conversations with you, you have important conversations with them, and you don't feel like you're getting punished for it after the fact. Like they don't want to respond to you, or they don't want to invite you to lunch anymore, or they're trying to make you feel like the third wheel. If you guys are in a trio friend group, for example, you want to feel.
But it just shows, like, you know, you're building off of consistency. Like, you know, you're building off of like repetition of patterns, just being like, okay, is this person trustworthy? Is this person, when they say we're going to do something, if they're going to do something, are they going to do it? And like you said, having tough conversations, but also not making sure that you're feeling like the victim, or like, you know, it's kind of like damnation or punishment after it. But it's just like, hey, I know we may be having a tough conversation now, but I truly believe that we're stronger than this, and we are gonna overcome it, you know, and just treating you with respect, and just having that track record to where it's just like, no, I trust this person, or like I'm spotting repetition to kind of like what she said, like I can tell that they're going to do this, or I can get the inkling that they're going to do that, and you know they're not going to steer me wrong, or like it's not going to lead to anything bad, you know.
Feel like you can be open without being worried about being punished. And of course, being able to have space without feeling like you're being abandoned or without them feeling like you're abandoning them. It can feel weird at first. You might feel like you are feeling a little bit bored in this friendship, but that is just the unfamiliar territory that I've been focusing a lot on in most recent videos. Learning how to allow your system to get used to calm instead of what we are often accustomed to, which is chaos. So, what does it actually mean to find your people? You want to see if your values align. Value alignment is very important in friendships. How do they handle boundaries? Can they respect them? Can they communicate them? How do they respond to conflict? Do you see them getting very high end? Do we see them trying to punish you? And really, again, I always encourage you all to think, how do I feel in my body when I'm around this person? Do you find yourself getting nervous? Do you find yourself trying to stay ahead of what responses they may be expecting? Like, are you overthinking in the relationship? Do you leave and think late at night wondering, like, should I have said that? Should I have done that? If that's happening a lot, that's a good sign that you're not really feeling secure in that relationship. You don't want to feel anxiety because of their
Didn't mean to do that, sorry, but ultimately what she says is right, where it's just like before, during, and after, ask yourself like, okay, am I at peace with this person, or like when I'm around them, do I feel comfortable with them, like what they say, what they do, like is it promoting peace, is it promoting calmness, is it promoting serenity, or is it just nervousness or anxiety or chaos? Just ask yourself that, and like be honest with yourself and with your body as well, because your body keeps record of what you're feeling, and it can memorize that sensation of what you're feeling.
effort, or because you feel that you need to put in effort. There shouldn't be chasing, like you're trying to make them be your friend. No mind games where you feel like you have to say the right thing, do the exact right thing, or they're going to be upset or frustrated with you. And I really want to talk about the concept of emotional debt, because a lot of the time, especially if, like we were talking about earlier, there's this emotional intensity. Sometimes there's this feeling that we owe a person to be their friend because they were there for us in XYZ time. You know, if you had a coworker, for example, who happened to be there when you were going through your divorce, and they also got divorced, so they were able to give you a lot of support with, you know, getting your lawyer or whatever the case may be. Sometimes we feel like because of that, we owe it to them to be their friend, and we look back on what they've contributed to our lives and feel like we have to.
Yeah, so this is probably my last time going to, I guess, interrupt other speaking, but you should never, or friendships or even relationships, it should never just be like, oh, well, I feel like I have to be their friend, or I have to be with them. It's like, no, like it should be, I want to be with them, not out of like obligation, but just because I want to, you know? It shouldn't be based off of just like, okay, I've like, you owe, like I owe it to them, or they owe me. No, I think that that's the fakest thing to do, because you're not being genuine with yourself, and it just feels like it's not genuine, you know? It's not genuine, and like it's not really showing up for what you want and what you need, and it's just being dishonest to the other person at the end of it.
Accept them no matter what. I see this a lot with my clients who have mom friends, for example. They may really bond when their kids are toddlers in elementary school, when they can rely on each other to be that village for babysitting, but then their kids get to a certain age and they really don't need each other in that way anymore, and their relationship shifts. You can try to build that relationship to see if there is something beyond just that village for raising your children, but you may realize that there isn't anything beyond that, and if that's the case, that's okay. You want to be able to make a decision about the people who make the most sense to be in your life at this stage of life. You don't want to feel like you owe someone a friendship. A friendship should be mutually beneficial. My main tips for how to build a sense of belonging in this climate, in this day and age, it's really three things. Something that we keep coming back to in a lot of these videos is prioritizing repetition over spark. Are we in the same spaces? Because the spaces that we're in can say a lot about our values, a lot about the amount of time we have available for relationships and connections. connection. It's a lot easier to build with someone when they're already a part of your routine. If we go to the same gym, if we're in the same class together, if we go to the same supermarket or the same church, if our kids go to the same school or at the same activities, those sorts of things can really help build a relationship just through repetition. It's not the only factor, but it is a great way to not feel that rush and pressure of quickly making a friend because we've got so much time to build on that relationship.
On
Ultimately,
foundational
familiarity is
needs.
what builds safety. The second thing, and this is a really, really important one and a tough pill for some people to swallow, is recognizing that some relationships should stay small. Not every relationship is meant to be your best relationship or most important relationship. Not every connection is going to lead to someone becoming your person or a part of your people. And that's okay. Community does not require intensity. If you're looking to build community, there are some people that you'll only see in certain spaces. There are some people that you'll only see in group settings. There are some people that you only like to talk to about a certain show. And that's okay. It doesn't have to develop into you become best friends with each other if you really don't have that many shared values and you might not have the same amount of time to give to a relationship. That might not be your person, but they can still be a part of your community. When I think about what things used to be like prior to the internet and so much work being online, for example, and I'm speaking this as a person who works from home, like everything I do, I can do pretty much in this room, right? But I think that prior to this, people really did have a life outside of their home. You would get off of work, you have happy hour. It was very common to be out. Kids after school, you're on your bike, you're not home until the street lights. We would all join together to go pick which movie we're gonna watch together at Blockbuster. You know, everybody's not watching a separate thing on their device. Now, a lot of homes have a TV in every room. And I'm not saying these things are bad. I'm just saying these are things that make it a lot easier for us to be in a world or a society that is more disconnected. Back then, you have your local baker, you have your pastor, you have your neighbor. Even engaging with neighbors is something that we don't do as often these days. There's a lot of fear as we have access to so many more news stories. It used to be you get your news by looking at the newspaper about the things just happening in your town. Now we're seeing news stories from all across the world, and it can put us in a state of heightened paranoia about what's going on. And it's not that it's not valid, but it does prevent us again from feeling comfortable connecting with strangers. But if you are willing to put yourself out there, we can build that community without everybody being your person. Sometimes your neighbor is just your neighbor. This is someone that you can ask for sugar if you need sugar, someone you can ask to watch your house if you're leaving your house, someone that you can go play with their dog or hang out with their kids. There are still benefits to having relationships with people where they might not be your best friend, but they have a special place in your community. And my last tip is to allow warmth to grow. A lot of times we realize we've built our village in hindsight. It's those slow connections, those people that you recognize that you're texting about this and now you're texting about this, you're checking out a lunch place, and the next thing you know, you've got a group of people around you. It sounds idealistic, I know. I've had clients who've felt the same way, but those same clients now, looking back, I'm like, do you remember when you felt so lonely and now they're having to reschedule sessions because they have to attend this friend's graduation or this person's baby dedication? Their lives look a lot different now because they were willing to put themselves out there and not rush relationships. With hot and fast relationships, a lot of the time I see also a quick burnout. We get very excited about the relationship. Ultimately, something happens. We don't have the tools to communicate that we're hurt or bothered, and neither do they. And the relationship ends up fizzling out as a result. You want to focus on safety first and then closeness second. How does my body feel when I'm around this person? Do I engage with them and feel okay? After a while, you can worry about that closeness, which is spending more time together, opening up together. But first, we need to really trust our intuition about how comfortable we can be with this person. My main point in this video is really not to give tips as much as to normalize how a lot of people are feeling right now. But the problem is that everybody is talking to me as if it's their fault why they don't have community, why they don't have close friends. If you're struggling to find your people, it doesn't mean that you're behind. Unfortunately, it just means that you're trying to build connection in a system that doesn't support it well. So those are my thoughts as to why finding your people right now is genuinely harder than it has been in the past. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree?
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up right there, but I agree with what she says, where it's just like it's the system that we're in now to where it's harder for us young adults and even just people in general to build and cultivate friendships. Like she said, we often promote and we hop on like, oh, where's the chemistry or like where's the spark? Rather than just like, okay, how does this person make me feel? Are we aligned? Do we have the same values? Are we in the same spaces? Like, are we interested in the same things? And just being like, okay, well, do we mesh, you know? And I don't get me wrong, you want to be able to click with that person, but base it on like things where it's just like, okay, is this person trustworthy? Is this person loyal? Is this person responsible? Is this person, are we on the same path? Like, are we gonna push each other to achieve our goals and dreams and be able to shoot for the stars, you know? But also know too that like with friendships, at least at the age that we're in, we're managing a lot ourselves as adults. Like, hear me out on this. We're managing a lot as adults. We have our own world that we're living with, own responsibilities, our own problems, and you never know what battles people are going through. But it's important to surround yourself with a community that you can lean on and friends that can show up and support you for the ups, but also during the down moments and your low moments. People to call on, just be like, hey, I miss you, like let's go grab a coffee, or like let's go bowling, or let's go to the park or do something fun, let's go to happy hour. But then also knowing the boundaries of just like, hey, what happens at work, and like, don't mesh pleasure with work and stuff like that, or having relationships at work and along the lights. But just knowing who you are, and then also making sense of the world that we are around, and also the new norms that we do. So I encourage you, if you may be experiencing, I guess, loneliness, or like trying to build your circle and find your people, go out and do what you love, you know? Find your circle, like ask yourself, who am I? What do I like to do? And what areas or what places can I go to do those things? So if it's a book club, start going to the library, or start going to Barnes and Noble, or find a book club on like TikTok, or reach out and maybe even make your own book club. Or if you like happy hour, go to happy hour. If you like going to run clubs, go running, go play tennis, go play golf, like go be involved in the sport to where you can meet other people with those same interests and with those same values, that you guys can click. And also from there, just take it slow and just vibe, just vibe and go with the flow, and don't rush it, because that's often how the foundation is established and you can see someone's true character, and it's no pressure for real. But let me know what you guys think about this video. I really enjoyed it, and know that your friends are coming in. Also, just pray and ask God to provide you with the right people in your life. But let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to share this video with a friend, so that we may continue to grow into the people that God wants us to be each and every day. As always, it's your boy D Lou signing out. Take care.